My name's Fred Doe, also known as Fred Sines, the Gypsy King of Gypsies. Morning, boys. Just another day in the office. I'm a gypsy. I can't read. I can't write.
Wow.
I can't use a telephone.
What line of business are you in?
Industry, caravan parks, mobile home.
About 10.5, 11 grand we've spent there, boys, between us. Who's here?
Every day we're being stopped by the police 2 or 3 times a day. They want to know who's in the car, how much it costs, what it is. This is racing. If it was anybody else, it wouldn't happen.
This guy has so much money, and my God, does he know what to do with it.
Maurice Fred Sines was born in the mid-1960s and comes from Britain's travelling community. He grew up within the culture of traders and caravan dwellers, an upbringing that would shape his future business ventures.
How did you start?
Saving. How did I start? No going to school, cleaning windows, saving the money, saving the pennies, the pounds looked after themselves, and then
Yes, sir.
bought a little piece of land, sold it,
Okay.
bought another piece, sold it, and then just went to work buying caravan parks.
By the early 2000s, Sines had reinvented himself as a businessman, investing in caravan parks across England. He portrayed himself as a self-made millionaire who owned a string of caravan parks and holiday home sites. These parks were marketed as idyllic retirement havens for older residents, tranquil communities where retirees could downsize and enjoy rural life. His emerging empire brought him considerable wealth and social status. However, behind the image of a prosperous park owner, troubling allegations of intimidation and criminal associations cast a dark shadow over his success. As Sines expanded his caravan park empire, numerous residents began accusing him of rogue practices on the sites he owned. Starting in the early 2000s, Sines, often alongside his business partner, James Crickmore, acquired multiple mobile home parks around the country. Almost immediately, complaints surfaced from residents who claimed their communities had turned into a living hell under Sines' ownership. At Ladycroft Park in Oxfordshire, which Sines purchased in 2001, residents, mostly elderly and retired, accused Sines of harassment and heavy-handed tactics aimed at forcing them out. According to Sheila Austin, a homeowner who led the fight against him, Sines would block any attempt to sell their mobile homes by refusing to approve new buyers and issuing threats. Under this pressure, 30 homeowners in Ladycroft Park sold their mobile homes to Sines' company at rock-bottom prices, just to escape the abuse. One mobile home valued at about £50,000 had to be sold for only £10,000, a huge loss for the elderly couple who owned it. After buying out residents cheaply, Sines' company would demolish the old mobile homes and replace them with new units, which could be sold at a hefty profit. The remaining 25 residents banded together and took Sines to court in 2005. Facing legal action, Sines agreed to an out-of-court settlement. He paid £75,000 in damages to those residents and signed a legal undertaking not to threaten, abuse, or harass park residents or obstruct sales of their homes. Sines later claimed he only paid the £75,000 to compensate people for living in a building site during park renovations and insisted he never harassed anyone. He soon sold off Ladycroft Park after this dispute. Around the same period, similar patterns emerged at other parks Sines and Crickmore owned. At Hardwick Bridge Park in Norfolk, residents described being terrorized at all hours. One woman recounted how agents of Sines banged on her door in the early morning, ordering her to leave. This campaign of fear left many too scared to even speak publicly. Victims often requested anonymity out of fear of reprisals. In an October 2012 Parliament debate about reforming mobile home laws, Member of Parliament Eleanor Lang directly called out Sines. She noted residents were afraid of the actions of Mr. Sines, who had made the lives of the people who live there a misery. Another MP said, "If anyone is not a fit and proper person to run a park, it is Mr. Maurice Signs, who has a long track record of abusing those who live on park home sites that he owns. In response to growing scrutiny, UK authorities finally took legal action. In 2013, Maurice Signs and James Crickmore were prosecuted for harassing residents at one of their parks. Their company, Leisure Parks Real Estate, operated Medina Park in Whippingham, Isle of Wight, and it had used intimidation and sale-blocking tricks much like those at Ladycroft. Rather than contest the charges, Signs and Crickmore pleaded guilty to multiple offences under the Caravan Sites Act, which protects mobile home residents. At a Crown Court hearing in March 2013, the company admitted to 11 charges, including intimidation of residents and interfering with potential sales of homes. 8 victims from the Isle of Wight Park gave testimony of how they were pressured to sell or prevented from selling. The court ordered the company to pay penalties, £40,000 in compensation, £5,000 to each of 8 victims, and fines totaling £33,000. Additionally, a confiscation order for £275,000 was issued, aiming to strip Signs' company of profits gained through these illegal tactics. Even as Signs was battling park residents in civil courts, he was involved in a different scandal: horse racing corruption. In 2009, Maurice Signs and associate James Crickmore orchestrated a massive betting scam. They worked with a network of corrupt jockeys to fix races by having horses deliberately lose, allowing them to profit from betting against those horses. Following a lengthy investigation, the British Horse Racing Authority, BHA, charged Signs, Crickmore, and several collaborators in 2011. The inquiry focused on 10 races across 5 different tracks between January and August 2009. They allegedly bribed jockeys to hold back their mounts if Signs and his associates had bet on those horses to lose. The BHA charged 4 jockeys, including well-known riders Kirsty Miltaric and Jimmy Quinn, with intentionally failing to ride to win, and charged Signs, Crickmore, and 6 others with conspiring in the scam. In December 2011, they found Maurice Signs and James Crickmore guilty. As punishment, the BHA handed Signs and Crickmore 14-year bans from all involvement in horse racing, one of the harshest penalties in the authorities' history. Notably, this was a civil matter rather than a criminal conviction, so Signs did not go to jail for the scheme. Signs lived a life of ostentatious wealth, even as legal clouds gathered. He presented himself as a legitimate businessman, a caravan park mogul who enjoyed the fruits of success. But investigators suspected that illicit activities were funding his lifestyle. He was often seen driving high-end luxury cars and living in exclusive addresses. Behind the scenes, British law enforcement agencies, including the National Crime Agency and HM Revenue and Customs, were looking into Signs' financial dealings. Investigators suspected Signs and Crickmore of large-scale tax fraud and money laundering, possibly linked to organised crime. According to media reports, the pair were accused in the UK of conspiracy to cheat the public revenue. Such allegations did not always lead to criminal charges in court, but they indicate Signs was on the radar of financial crime units. Signs himself later admitted he was under intense investigation around 2017 to 2018. He said police and tax agents came to his house and arrested him and his family and wanted £50 million. Ultimately, that particular investigation concluded without Signs being charged. The exact details remain murky, as the inner workings of NCA and HMRC probes are often confidential unless charges are filed. Even as these probes went on quietly, Signs maintained a public front of respectability. Promotional materials and his own statements painted him as a hard-working entrepreneur who cared about his family and community.
Hi, I'm Fred Signs. I'm in Tesco's here today, buying food for the homeless and needy and the people in the cold. This is food to go in the food bank for them to feed them at Christmas. If everyone would do this, it would be fantastic. This is the lady from Tesco's, like that, a few words.
I'd just like to say what a wonderful thing this gentleman has done, and these people are very lucky, and more people should take his lead.
And happy Christmas to all the homeless people.
Happy Christmas.
A nomination for all the kids with no money and no parents to get them toys at Christmas.
Give me the cake uniform!
Some trolleys, boys.
How much we do, Frank? Hey?
About 10.5, 11 grand was spent there, boys, between us. Who's here?
In court hearings, his defense lawyers would later emphasize that he was a self-made man and a generous donor to charities. Many letters from organizations attested to Sign's charitable contributions and positive personal qualities. These accounts show an almost dual life. A man who could be generous and civic, yet who was trailed by serious allegations of fraud and links to gangland figures. Signs had allegedly become entangled with one of Europe's most notorious organized crime groups, the Kinahan Cartel. The cartel, led by the Kinahan family out of Ireland and Dubai, is an international crime syndicate involved in drug trafficking, money laundering, and gangland violence. Signs was never charged with violent crimes or drug offences himself, but evidence from police and the Irish Criminal Assets Bureau, also known as CAB, indicates he was closely linked to several top-tier Kinahan associates, using his wealth and assets to aid their operations. The CAB, which targets illicit wealth, named Signs in High Court proceedings as an associate of the Kinahan network. CAB testified that he was connected to members of the Byrne Organised Crime Group, led by Liam Byrne out of Dublin, was effectively the Irish branch of the Kinahan cartel. According to intelligence, Maurice Signs provided high-value perks and hideouts to the Byrnes. At one point, Signs operated a UK luxury car business that supplied expensive vehicles to Liam Byrne and his brother David Byrne in Dublin. The Byrne brothers would drive these flashy cars, often worth over €100,000 each, but legally the vehicles were owned by Signs Company. This arrangement meant that when Irish police stopped the Byrne brothers, as they frequently did, the cars could not be seized as proceeds of crime because they weren't registered in the Byrnes' names. Signs also allegedly helped Liam Byrne escape law enforcement heat in Ireland around 2016. That year, Byrne was under intense investigation by the CAB, who were moving to seize his Dublin house and other assets. Amid this pressure, and after the high-profile Gangland murder of his brother in the Regency Hotel shooting, Liam Byrne fled Ireland. Signs provided Byrne with a house in Birmingham as a safe haven. While Byrne hid out, Irish authorities seized his property back home. Another key figure Signs was linked with is Thomas Kavanagh, who was the Kinahan cartel's UK boss. Kavanagh, a brother-in-law of Liam Byrne, ran the British wing of the Kinahan operations from his base in the Midlands. Kavanagh was a fearsome organised crime figure, later convicted of trafficking €35 million worth of drugs into the UK. He was jailed for 21 years in 2022 for those offences. Garda sources claim that Signs was close to bomber Kavanagh as well. Given Kavanagh's role, that connection places Signs right at the heart of the cartel's UK hierarchy. It's little surprise, then, that some in the media referred to Signs as a Kinahan cartel associate. However, it's important to note that while these connections are reported by law enforcement and media, Signs has not been convicted of any Kinahan-related crimes. The information came to light through CAB proceedings and intelligence reports rather than a public criminal trial. Signs himself became uncomfortable with the spotlight on his Irish underworld links. Sometime in the early 2000s and 20s, he legally changed his name from Maurice Signs to Fred Doe, apparently to distance himself from his past. Nonetheless, by 2023, the mainstream media was openly discussing Signs' alleged mob ties. An Irish Times headline in August 2023 bluntly called him a businessman linked to the Kinahan cartel. In May 2018, Signs was involved in an incident that started with a day out at the prestigious PGA Golf Championship in Surrey. Signs was attending the tournament, mingling in exclusive company. However, by the end of that day, he would find himself in a high-speed police chase in his £400,000 Phantom, and later offering an excuse to try to dodge responsibility. According to court records, Surrey police officers at the golf event had received complaints about Signs' behaviour that day. When they went to find him, they saw Signs leaving the tournament and getting into his car in the car park. Unbeknownst to the police at that moment, Signs was driving while disqualified. He was already banned from driving due to prior offences. Spotting the police presence, Signs sped off. During the pursuit, the Rolls-Royce drove on the wrong side of the road, sped through residential areas at up to 60 miles per hour in 30 miles per hour zones, went the wrong way around a roundabout, and narrowly avoided a head-on collision with another car. The chase continued until the pursuing officers encountered a technical issue, allowing Signs to slip away. The car was soon found abandoned nearby, and Signs had fled on foot. Police tracked him down later that same day. When confronted, Maurice Signs spun an incredible tale to explain his actions. He initially denied that he had been the driver at all. He claimed he wasn't behind the wheel. He said he had a chauffeur driving the car and that he had been relaxing in the back seat during the incident. Signs implied he was having a sexual encounter with a woman in the back seat and that he ordered his chauffeur not to stop because he did not want to be caught in that situation since he had only recently got back together with his wife. When the case went to trial, CCTV evidence from the golf tournament clearly showed Signs himself getting into the driver's seat of the car before the chase. Faced with this proof, Signs finally admitted he had been the driver all along. In March 2020, he was charged with dangerous driving. The judge gave him an 8-month sentence, suspended for 2 years, meaning Signs would not go to jail unless he re-offended. In addition to the suspended sentence, he was banned from driving for 2 years, given a 3-month nightly curfew with an electronic tag. One revealing detail that emerged at sentencing was how Signs' lifestyle had changed. He confirmed to the court that he no longer lived in the mansion estate associated with his wealthy image. Instead, Signs said he was living in a mobile home on his daughter's property in Berkshire. He explained this move as being for family reasons, to be close to his ill grandson and to assist with his care.
How are you? This is Fred Signs here. Just doing a bonfire for my grandkids, just for my family. As you can see, if you turn around there, Chris, we've got the police, we've got fire engines, we've got everything, because once again, we are gypsies. We're being harassed, but this is a private bonfire. Yeah? I hope everyone likes this bonfire. Show them that bonfire, Chris. We're having a nice bonfire. Yeah? No? Yeah. I've got all my kids and my grandkids, yeah? If that was the case, that wouldn't be happening.
Okay, we're definitely sure to spend one like in the
Mate, 1 billion%.
Yeah,
okay? This is all my family's coming in now, and all my staff who works for me are coming here to watch fireworks, yeah? And other people are. The council know about it.
Yeah.
The council even asked the parish to put out before the locals put something that was all right. Yeah. But at that time, we separated them. There's nothing in there, mate. We wouldn't be in. Yeah. Okay? One thing I'm not is a fool.
One headline-grabbing issue arose from Signs' acquisition of land near Eton. In 2020, Signs purchased a scenic greenfield plot along Eton-Wick Road, not far from the elite Eton College. Local residents initially might not have known who Fred Doe was, but they soon learned. Signs transformed the countryside plot into what neighbours describe as a sprawling, illegal scrapyard. He bulldozed trees and greenery and began filling the land with hundreds of old cars, vans, caravans, shipping containers, and piles of scrap metal. Local homeowners in this area were horrified. They claimed Signs had devalued their homes and made them virtually unsellable by industrializing the surroundings. Public records showed he submitted only a few belated planning applications, and by 2025, he was facing 3 enforcement investigations by the Windsor and Maidenhead Council over unauthorized tree felling and land use. Crime and controversy seemed to run in the Signs family. Even Maurice's son, who also adopted the alias Fred Doe Jr., made headlines in September 2019 when an 18-carat solid gold toilet, valued at around £4.8 million, was stolen from Blenheim Palace in England. The fully functional golden commode, titled America by artist Maurizio Cattelan, had been on display at Blenheim as part of an art exhibition. Thieves broke in during the night, unbolted the heavy solid gold toilet, and fled within a 5-minute operation. For months the case went unsolved, but eventually arrests were made and the scheme unraveled. Several men stood trial at Oxford Crown Court for the theft. In March 2025, Fred Doe Jr. was found guilty for his role in the golden toilet heist. Specifically, Fred Jr. was convicted of attempting to sell the stolen gold from the toilet. 2 other accomplices were convicted of burglary for the actual theft, while a 4th man was acquitted of handling stolen goods. The court heard how the team had planned the burglary with precision, arriving in stolen getaway cars, smashing into the palace, and dragging out the golden toilet, so heavy that it caused their vehicle to sag on its suspension as they sped off. At around 61 years old, as of 2025, Maurice Fred Signs remains a free and wealthy man, continuing to conduct business. His story is still unfolding. The Kinahan leadership itself is under worldwide pressure, with sanctions and wanted notices issued for its leaders. In that climate, Signs' mob connections could yet catch up to him, if authorities ever managed to tie him into a conspiracy.